Hello, my name is Michael Norton. I'm a specialist in oral surgery and I practice here in London, where my practice is limited to oral surgery, reconstructive and implant dentistry. I'm Adjunct Clinical Professor at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia in the US, and I am past president of the Academy of Osseointegration. I'm excited to present and introduce to you a new product. This is Cerabone Plus. This is a bovine bone substitute with hyaluronate. And the hyaluronic acid in this gives a really most unusual property. When rehydrated, the granules clump together in a putty-like, almost sticky adhesive mass. We get the pure benefit of the volume stable bovine bone graft, but rather than the issues that we'll all be familiar with, that it's hard to stabilize the granules, they wash downstream if the patient happens to be bleeding a lot, they can't be molded or shaped. In this case, with the hyaluronic acid, we get this jelly-like effect, and it creates a very impressive putty, almost putty-like feel to it, handling property. And it's to do with this liquid binding capacity that helps to form this sticky bone. I think that's a very good description of it, is sticky bone. It's not adhesive. It's very important to understand that. This doesn't bond in any way. It just creates a more cohesive mass rather than adhesive mass. So here you can see I'm actually using it in this case as a sinus graft, but you can see here how it's clumped together on the instrument, and it actually sticks to the, it's because of its stickiness, it sort of holds on the instrument, which means when you're transferring the material from your dish to the patient, it doesn't all fall off, and again, it doesn't all wash downstream. The handling is superb. I'm very impressed. I have used it in a repair case for peri-implantitis, and getting this material to mold around the implant as part of that repair process is a real bonus feature. So here you can see in this patient where we are ultimately going to be doing a maxillary reconstruction. There you can see the floor of the original sinus, and that is the Cerabone Plus sinus lift. Again, we've taken a trifine core from that, and I'm pleased to share with you, I think, what must be the first histology from Cerabone Plus case, and it's very impressive. There's lots of bone around the cerabone particles. You can see this is vital bone with osteocytes, with nuclei within the osteocytes. The cerabone particles seem to be lined with osteoblasts and new bone forming, osteoid and new bone forming. So this is very encouraging histology indeed. We can look at it in a different stain. This is Masson-Goldner's stain, and you can see the lamella pattern of the bone. That's probably from the cortical side of the trifine as I'm going through the cortex into what is the sinus. So the sinus graft is to the left and the cortical bone is to the right. But we can see some really, the darker green shows where the bone, new bone is being formed around the cerabone particles. This is immunohistochemical staining, ED1, the brown stained cells is looking for osteoclasts to see if there is some intense osteoclastic or resorptive response with the cerabone plus. Throughout the whole trifine, we could only find a couple of cells that stained, immunohistochemically stained for osteoclasts. So there's virtually no resorptive response whatsoever. And you can just see one of those cells there. Or a few of them, I should say. Again, some other immunohistochemical stains looking for woven bone, for vascularization and collagen within the bone. And we can really see here on the left side, the slightly darker brown color shows us the presence of type 1 collagen. In the center, the brown staining is for vascularization, and on the right, again, the slightly darker brown color within the bone mineral is the bone mineral matrix. So this is staining for osteopontin or bone sialoproteins and such like. In a nutshell, the various stainings and the standard histology really demonstrates that the cerabone plus particles are conducting excellent neovascularization, angiogenesis through and bone mineral matrix formation. And actually here you can see the implant or implants within that sinus graft. So that concludes my presentation. I think the cerabone plus definitely brings a new dimension to the bovine particulate bone world, because I think controlling the particulate bovine bone has, for me at least, always been an issue. Obviously, when you're placing membranes over the graft, and especially if you're trying to fixate the membranes with tacks or screws, it's very frustrating if the graft is washing downstream with the blood, and this site seems to solve that problem. And so with that, I thank you for your time. I hope you've enjoyed the presentation, and if you want to ask any questions, feel free to email me at drnorton@nortonimplants.com. Thank you.